The sun-scorched Havenwood Drive in Juniper Hills, Nevada, on a blistering August morning in 2026, the thermometer hitting 107 degrees Fahrenheit without a cloud to soften the blow. Heat rose from the pavement in waves, a silent dare to anyone foolish enough to linger outside. That day, I dragged 2 coolers of iced water to the edge of my yard, parking them under the lone oak by the community path. No fanfare, no signs, just free water for anyone who needed it. I wasn't chasing clout. I did it because 2 days earlier, Mrs. Larson, my 82-year-old neighbor, nearly fainted walking her terrier in this furnace. My dad, back in Reno years ago, used to say, "Water under the sun saves more souls than steel." Those words stuck with me through my Navy days and followed me home. So when a crisp envelope appeared on my door that afternoon, I figured it was another pizza flyer. It wasn't. It was a violation notice from the Juniper Hills Homeowners Association, signed by Margaret Voss, HOA president. Unauthorized distribution of consumables in a common area. Fine, $100. Due in 10 days. I stood there, sweat pooling at my collar, the paper trembling in my hand like it might combust under my glare. A fine? For water? I scanned the empty street, the hum of a distant lawnmower the only sound. Confusion hit first, not anger. Was it the ice? The coolers? Did someone snitch? That evening, I took a jug of filtered water to Mrs. Larson. Her oxygen tank wheezed as she smiled. "That water was a godsend, Daniel," she said, her voice frail but warm. I hesitated, then asked if anyone had mentioned it. "Margaret passed by," she said. Didn't even look at me. That was all I needed to know. Back home, I spread the notice on my kitchen table, my dog Rusty snoring nearby. I'd left the Navy 5 years ago, expecting civilian life to be quieter, not a battleground over bottled water. I called the HOA's number voicemail. "This is Daniel Hart from 217 Aspen Lane. I got a fine for leaving water out. I need clarification." Then I dug into the HOA handbook, a 90-page beast. The rule they cited was vague. No food or drink distribution in common areas without board approval. No sale, no signs, just kindness. Apparently, that was a crime in Juniper Hills. The next day, I showed up at the HOA meeting in the community center, a sterile box smelling of bleach and stale coffee. Margaret Voss ran it like a courtroom, her green blazer a badge of authority. I hadn't been to a meeting in months, but I sat up front, collared shirt crisp, and waited. When I got my chance, I stood. I got fined for giving out water. I didn't sell anything. What's the basis for this? Margaret's eyes didn't flicker. Section 14B prohibits unapproved consumables. I pressed. So, a kid's lemonade stand is illegal? Her jaw tightened. This isn't about lemonade. It's about order. I shot back. Fining people for kindness isn't order. It's control. She warned me about disruptive conduct fines. I sat down, pulse pounding. After the meeting, a woman named Claire from Pineview Court whispered, "You're not alone, Daniel. They fined me for handing out juice at the spring festival." It clicked, this wasn't just about me. 2 days later, I caught Margaret and her lackey, Carl Timmons, eyeballing my porch coolers like they were contraband. I waved, coffee in hand. "Morning." No reply, just Carl scribbling on his clipboard. That afternoon, another notice arrived. Visual disruption of neighborhood aesthetic. My cedar bench, hand-built and stained, was unsanctioned. I sat on it for an hour, watching kids bike by, feeling the neighborhood's pulse shift. That night, I walked past Margaret's house. Her car was parked on the street after 10 p.m., a clear violation. I snapped a photo, not for revenge, but for leverage. I taped it to her door with a note. "Good people bend rules for good reasons." Like you did. By noon, the note was gone. Carl showed up, fidgeting. "Margaret says leaving notes on doors is discouraged." I smirked. "Is it illegal?" He mumbled, "Not exactly." I leaned in. "Ever give someone water on a hot day, Carl?" He left without a word. That evening, Claire stopped by. We sipped iced tea on my bench as her son played nearby. "Margaret's out of control," she said. "Find my neighbor for a wind chime." I learned Margaret had moved here from Tucson 3 years ago, elected to the board in months, and ruled ever since. Her husband left her last year. Some said because she micromanaged him too. It made sense. Her control wasn't about rules, it was about fear. The next morning, my bench was gone. No warning, just vanished. An email from the HOA cited visual uniformity violations. I added it to my growing file. The water fine, the aesthetic warning, Margaret's parking violation. I visited Mr. Callahan, a former board member. Over iced tea, he showed me Article 29. A vote of no confidence can be called with 20% resident support and a majority quorum. My pulse quickened. Why hasn't anyone done this? I asked. They're scared, he said, or think they're alone. I started small, walking Rusty with a notepad, chatting with neighbors. Stories poured out, fines for flower beds, mailbox colors, even a kid's lemonade stand. Claire designed flyers. Does the HOA represent you? Contact Daniel Hart. We slipped them into mailboxes under doormats. Emails flooded in 34 in 3 days, each with a story of petty fines. I compiled them into a dossier. Margaret fought back. A neighbor got fined for a porch light. Another for a cardboard box left out overnight. When a teen's lemonade stand got shut down, I'd had enough. I emailed everyone. Meeting at my garage, Saturday, 6 p.m. Bring your stories. Bring your courage. Rain fell that Saturday, but 40 people crammed into my garage. Claire with brownies, Callahan with notes, Mrs. Torres with old HOA records. I held up Article 29. We can vote them out. It takes 20% to start, 50% to win. Applause broke out. We planned door-to-door outreach, translations for Spanish-speaking neighbors. It felt like a mission. But Margaret struck back. County code enforcement showed up, citing unlicensed gatherings. I showed them my garage chairs, coolers, no megaphone. They left, one whispering, "Good luck." Margaret was rattled. We hit 62 signatures, needing 70. Then Margaret's team flooded my email with spam, tried to cut my porch lights for energy violations. But neighbors kept signing. A vet named Marcus joined me door to door. Mrs. Torres, fined for her swan planter, signed too. At 76 signatures, Margaret called an emergency meeting to freeze voting rights. A board member, Tom Reed, leaked it. We countered with a public vote at the town hall, flyers everywhere. Water isn't a crime. 3 days before, Margaret threatened Mrs. Torres pool access. I filed a county grievance. The vote day was electric. 200 residents, lawn chairs, kids running. I spoke. This isn't a protest. It's a promise. No more fear. The vote passed, 192 to 11. Margaret walked away, silent. But the next morning, a new letter from Elaine, now acting president, claimed the vote was invalid. They filed an injunction. We didn't flinch. In Mrs. Torres' garage, we planned a county ethics complaint and a public archive. A local paper ran a story. Homeowners or hostages. Support poured in from other neighborhoods. 2 weeks later, the county dismissed the injunction. Margaret's board had 48 hours to vacate. Cheers erupted. We held a final vote at the high school gym. 241 residents, food trucks, kids with stickers. Mrs. Torres became president, Claire, treasurer, Marcus, vice president, Elena, secretary. All old fines were voided. The gym roared with relief. 6 months later, Juniper Hills breathes easier. Benches. Yards, coolers stay stocked, and Mrs. Torres newsletters keep us connected. Last month, Margaret stopped by, no blazer, just a cardigan. I was wrong, she said, handing me a $100 check for the water fine. I thought I was protecting order. It was fear. I told her to keep the money but come to a meeting. She nodded. I might. Now, kids sell lemonade, gardens bloom, and we've turned the clubhouse into a library and cooling center. Sitting on my new bench, I think of Dad's words. You're a neighbor when you show up. That's what the water was: hope, defiance, community.